Hi, this is Gary with Gary's Sprinkler Repair Service, and today I'm going to show you how to fix a broken pipe and it's gotten broken somehow, how to use a telescoping slip fix to fix it. Okay, first thing you're going to need when you're doing a telescoping slip fix to repair a broken pipe, so you're going to need a telescoping slip fix, one of these guys, either 1 inch or 3/4 inch. You can buy them in regular or shorty. You'll need a couple of slip couplings and a small piece of pipe just in case it's longer than the slip fix is. And you can see here I needed 2 slip fixes and a total of 3 couplings and a small piece of pipe. So that's what you're going to need as far as materials. Tools wise, we have a pair of channel locks, not only to open the lids on the glue and the primer, but also to use to stick in between the pipe. You'll see me use them later in the video to give some separation between pipes. I like to also use a screwdriver. Sometimes you can put it between the pipes and shove it down in the dirt and pin it, and it'll pin the pipe away from the other pipe. You can use the screwdriver to help you dig under the pipes, also in between the pipes to get some stuff out from in between the pipes. I just use little Phillips. A pair of ratchet cutters. These are for cutting the pipe. I use a deburring tool, so once I have my bare ends of my pipe, I like to clean it out there, clean it out on that side, take all the rough edges off the pipes over here off my old pipes before I try to slide any fittings on. You can buy one of those at Harbor Freight, I believe, if you know where that's at. Wet dry glue and a primer. So I use Spears for both of those, an aqua blue primer. If you don't have a pair of ratchet cutters, you can get away with using either just a regular hacksaw. You can see it has real fine teeth on it. You can use that for cutting your pipe as well. Just a little bit harder to do when you're bent over a trench and only able to use one hand. So that's pretty much all you'll need. It wouldn't hurt to have a trenching shovel, and if you have a sawzall like I do, then you can use that with a nice fine blade like the type of blade that this has, real fine teeth, to cut the pipe and save yourself from having to jerk around using the saw. Alright, first thing you're going to do is determine obviously where your break is. You can see here's where our break was. There's a total of 3 pipes down in the trench. You can see there was one down below that I've already fixed, the upper one, and then of course this one here. I cut the section out, and we're going to be using what's called a telescoping slip fix. That's this little guy right here. I'll show you on my leg why it's called telescoping. You can see that it telescopes in and it also telescopes back out. So before, back in the day, you used to have to try to cheat a piece of pipe in between the 2 junctions. Now you don't have to do that. So you cut your break out, and in this case it was too big of a span for me to put this in and it to bridge that area. So you can see it was going to be way too big of an area for me to try to do that. So if you look down here, if I set this guy where it was going to belong, there's a seam right here on these guys, that little brown line, and that is going to go at the end of your break. So if you look over here, I've lined that seam up with the end of the break, and then you telescope it all the way out. You see where the other end of the pipe is. So here's the end of my slip fix. Sorry about this. See if I can do this. I'm bending over in the trench. All right, sorry. Old man trying to do sprinkler work. Anyway, you can see it's lined up on the left, and now on the right hand side, to know where you're going to cut this pipe, I had to put an extension on there with a coupling and an extension, and now I have to determine where to cut that. So literally right here at the end of your slip fix, you put your thumb, and that's where you'd cut this pipe. You put another coupling on, and you telescope that in, and then you telescope that end on. This end over here is like a coupling already, so I'm going to add a coupling to this guy right here, so I can glue it onto this pipe, kind of like that. Anyway, I'll show you how that looks in just a minute. And you got your blade lined up where it needs to go. You ratchet it. Sometimes it helps you put a little spit on the blade first, and it's cutting the pipe. right where we need it cut. I like to use a deburring tool. Again, you can find these at Harbor Freight. You can put that on there, spin it around the end of the pipe, spin it around the inside. This is also a good opportunity to double check and make sure you can even use your phone to come down here and check all the way around this pipe. I always like to take the piece that I cut out, so this guy here, and make sure wherever my cracks are, so you can see the crack here on the left, it doesn't extend to the end of the pipe, so it doesn't, I'll show you, it doesn't go all the way out to here. So when you cut it out, you know you cut beyond the crack on that side, and over here again you can see another crack here. There was a little crack coming down here, so I cut beyond that. If they do, you need to cut that pipe down there back a little further, or you need to cut that guy back a little further before you put an extension like coupling with a piece of pipe on it, because otherwise if that crack still extends a little bit further over to here and I just repaired it here, it's going to leak over here. So next we're going to be gluing this coupling onto the end of the slip fix right here. We don't need one on that end. As you can see, it already has a built-in coupling. So I'll glue that on, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue, telescope it all the way in first, put my coupling on this end, and then I'm going to glue it onto that end of the pipe, and then I'm ready to telescope this thing out, and it'll glue onto that side over there. So one last thing you can do for a quick measurement, just to make sure that you're good before you put your coupling on, because a lot of times people get confused as to where to cut. I'm going to refresh your memory where this brown line is right here, the seam. That's going to be your left-hand most point. So you can see that lines up on the left. And how you know you made a good cut is if you put the two together, you can see the end of your pipe or your slip fix should touch your pipe. And you can see your brown line lines up right with the end of the pipe right here. That means once you put that coupling on, it'll glue all the way on. You can telescope this all the way out. For one of these to be properly installed, it has to be telescoped all the way out the way it is right now. You do not want to have it like partially. I'll try to show you what I mean by partially. You don't want to have it in part of the way like that, because then every time it comes on, it can expand and contract like that, and it can cause it to break the glue fitting. Okay, so at this point we can see that I've glued the slip fix and the coupling together, and now I've glued them onto the pipe here, the pipe that was coming out. So the last step in this process, put a little bit of glue inside the slip fix, put some on here. You can see I already cleaned both ends up with primer. And then I'm going to literally take this guy, once it's got glue on it, and telescope it all the way out like that, and glue it onto the end of the pipe. And we'll be done. One last thing I want to show you is if you look down here, once I've glued it onto the pipe right here, you want to make sure that when you put that slip fix on, you pull it out and turn it a quarter of a turn and hold it. And sometimes when you first start to let go, that slip fix is going to go that way and start sliding off of that glue joint right there. That's known as pushback. So you want to be aware of that and watch for it. And if you see it starting to move that way, grab it and pull it back out and give it another 1/8 of a turn. And usually that's enough to get it to stay. And that's a completed telescoping slip fix, a successful repair of a 3/4 inch pipe that was broken.